Why did you and your family move to Montreal?
They didn't. I was adopted by a Jewish family, so I'm a Jewish Indian. Shalom.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom. Well, that was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
The what happened was in the 70s, during the 60s scoop, where the government wanted to assimilate us. The English the English social services in Montreal were run by the Jewish Family Services.
Because back in the day, and this is part of the 60s scoop, back in the day, the social workers were very much, assimilation. So changed her name, put her into Hebrew school, introduced her to the beauty of the Jewish culture, which is a beautiful culture, but forget about her nativeness.
So I think that's what happened. I think that's my explanation. I don't know if I'm right or not, but my opinion is that because it was run by the Jewish Family Services, the English part, there was a lot of families that were looking, I guess, to adopt, and we were available, courtesy of the government.
I had a blonde brother and a blonde sister, so it was very apparent. And my parents weren't sure about the cultural difference, so they'd be like, just tell people you're Israeli. Didn't work out so well.
And my parents didn't know that I was stolen. They had no idea. They just they saw me in a catalog, and they picked me out, and I arrived in Montreal. I was almost a year old.
When did you find out you had native roots? When did that?
I knew. I was adopted at 3, and I used to tell everyone I used to live in a teepee. I never lived in a teepee, but I always knew. It was just something that I don't know how I knew. I just did.
Being adopted, it's a challenge. It was a challenge.
Tell me what it's like.
Well, I realized I was kind of different when I looked at my dad. I didn't look like him at all.
Was he like an Ashkenazi Jew?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
almost. Well,
Sephardic?
maybe not. But he's white Canadian, and my mom's Filipino, so I kind of look like her. Not even both. I went to church with my grandmother on my mother's side, and went to synagogue.
Not confusing?
Very, very.
My sister is homemade, so my parents didn't think they could have children, and then they found out that they could. They adopted my brother, and then they adopted me around the same time. My brother was adopted by Quebec. He's not native. I was the only one.
But I think my parents, they didn't baptize me, or I didn't do the baptism because how they saw it was they wanted me to choose for my own later on.
I left home at 18. The cultures didn't mesh very well, and I didn't feel part of the community, and I needed to find who I was. So I left home. I got my Indian status. I went to school with my Indian status, and I immersed myself into the urban Aboriginal community.
Do you have a relationship with your nothing?
No.
Over. Ended.
No.
So it ended poorly.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's so sad. So are you close with your adopted parents?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They're both professors at Concordia, and
Tell me about...
and it's weird when I say that because I'm like, why do I need to? But I think it's because I automatically feel like were they good people, and I feel like when I answer like that they're professors, it automatically gives people idea that I was raised in an educated environment, which is true, but they're much more than that. Like I played cello, they put me into cello lessons and stuff like that, and
They loved you?
They did. They do.
They do, eh?
They do. Yeah. They put up with me.